Hello, I'm Brian with Gluten-Free Home Brewing.
With the exception of rice malt that has an intact hull, buckwheat, corn, and millet require additions of rice hulls. Rice hulls improve circulation and filtration during the mash and also reduce the likelihood of a stuck mash. Just about every beer style can be made using an extract and steeping malted grains. The malted grains used in partial mash and all grain brewing are important to produce the maltiness and mouthiness in gluten-free beer. The malted grains also allow you to achieve the diverse flavor profile of the different beer styles.
When you're doing a partial mash, you do a steep of the specialty grains. The specialty grains are in a nylon bag. It's been sealed up. It's been milled. We add that to preheated water to extract the sugars, the colors, and the flavors in the malt for what the specialty grains are delivering to the beer. So after the grain goes into the pot, into the hot water, it starts the steeping process. And as you can see, there's color coming out of the grain. And this will be giving both color and flavor to the eventual beer. So this is a crude method of sparging the specialty grains in the bag. You just want to run some clean water through the grains to try to get a little bit of extra residual sugars out of those specialty grains without burning your friend.
A single infusion mash is the recommended method for all grain gluten-free brewing. We do not discourage other methods, but we urge new brewers to start with this method. The milled grains and rice hulls are mixed with hot water and enzymes to achieve a mash temperature of 150 to 165 degrees for 90 to 120 minutes. The recommended water to grain ratio is 1 to 1 1/4 quarts per pound. When you add grain to water, the temperature will decrease. Therefore, the strike water temperature needs to be higher to compensate for any heat loss. In order to maintain your mash temperature, you will need a mash tun. A mash tun may be purchased from a homebrew store, or you may construct a mash tun yourself. Finally, you need a hot liquid tank to hold your sparging water. Sparge the grains by running the sparge water through the grain bed and collecting the wort.
Here we're adding the strike water to the mash tun prior to adding the grain. So we will be adding the grain at the ratio that was stated earlier, and the grain will then pick up some of that moisture and will absorb it, and so you'll often need more water than what you'd normally expect the grain to take up. You don't want it to get, you want to keep the grain floating and moving, but there is a difference between a thick mash and a thin mash. So we're now ready to draw the wort out of the mash tun, and this is done after you've checked your mash to make sure that the iodine test is negative for starch, so that you know that all of the starch has been converted to sugars, which is only what we want is sugars.
Please watch our next video that covers the boil for extract, partial mash, and all grain brewing.